Most solo founders track a dozen numbers and steer by none of them. The dashboard is full, the direction is vague, and every week a different metric feels like the important one. A North Star metric is the antidote to that. The single number you agree in advance best captures whether your business is actually delivering value. Today, I want to explain what a North Star metric really is, how to pick one that will not lie to you, and the mistakes that turn a good idea into a number you end up gaming instead of growing. I use one for each business I run, and it has saved me more scattered weeks than almost any other habit. It does not replace looking at everything else. It just decides what wins when two numbers disagree, and you only have time to chase one. I am not going to hand you a magic metric, because the right one depends entirely on what you do. What I will hand you is the way to find yours, and the honesty to know when it stops being the right one. What a North Star metric is. A North Star metric is the one number that best represents the core value your product delivers to customers. Not the value to you, the value to them. For a business that helps people ship things, it might be orders fulfilled. For one that helps people learn, it might be lessons completed. The test is simple. When this number goes up, are customers genuinely getting more of what they came to you for? If yes, it is a candidate. If it can rise while customers get nothing better, it is the wrong number. Divan 10 number. Why just one? The point of picking one is not that other numbers do not matter. It is that a single shared focus forces clarity. When everything is a priority, nothing is. And a solo operator with limited hours cannot chase 10 metrics at once. Naming one North Star means that when you are deciding what to build or fix next, you have a tiebreaker. Does this move the North Star, yes or no? That one question kills a surprising amount of busy work that felt productive but pointed nowhere in particular. Value, not vanity. The most common failure is choosing a vanity number that feels good and means little. Total signups, page views, followers. These climb even when your actual business is stalling, because they measure attention, not value delivered. A real North Star ties to customers getting something they wanted, which is why it correlates with them staying and paying over time. If a number can go up while your revenue and retention go nowhere, it is measuring noise, and steering by it will walk you confidently in the wrong directions. Why not just revenue? People ask why revenue is not always the North Star, since money is the goal. Revenue is a lagging result. It tells you what already happened, often weeks after the thing that caused it. A good North Star sits a little upstream of revenue, closer to the value customers receive, so it moves first and gives you time to react. Revenue is the scoreboard. The North Star is the thing you actually control that makes the scoreboard move later. You want to steer by the cause, not stare at the effect. Leading, not lagging. That upstream quality is worth naming directly. A leading metric changes before the outcome you care about, so it acts as an early warning and an early encouragement. A lagging metric only confirms, after the fact, what your leading metrics already set in motion. The best North Star is as far upstream as it can be, while still genuinely predicting the outcome. Too far upstream and it stops connecting to real value. The sweet spot is the earliest number you can trust to reliably foreshadow customers staying and paying. To find yours, ask what a customer does that makes them likely to stick around and get real value. Look at the people who stayed and paid, and find the action they took that the people who left mostly did not. That action, counted across your whole base, is usually your North Star candidate. It is detective work in your own data, not a template you copy from another company. The number that predicts retention for your specific customers is the one worth building around. CTTs. Most North Stars sit right on top of what people call the aha moment, the point where a new customer first genuinely gets the product. If you can identify that moment, the action that delivers it, counting how often it happens, is a strong North Star. It means your one number is measuring the exact experience that turns a curious stranger into someone who stays. Get more people to that moment more often, and almost everything downstream, retention and revenue included, tends to follow along behind it. The inputs beneath it. A North Star is not much use on its own if you cannot influence it, so break it into the handful of inputs that feed it. If your North Star is orders fulfilled, the inputs might be new customers, orders per customer, and fulfillment success rate. Those inputs are the levers you actually pull week to week. The North Star tells you where you are going, and the input metrics tell you which specific dial to turn to get there. One destination, a few steering controls, one number, not a whole dashboard. Resist the urge to let the North Star quietly become 5 numbers. The entire value is the focus, and the focus shared among several metrics is not a focus at all. Keep the North Star singular and prominent, and let everything else live one layer down as inputs or diagnostics. When you catch yourself saying our North Stars, plural, you have lost the thing that made it useful. It is a compass, and a compass with 3 needles points nowhere you can follow. Pair it with a guardrail. A single metric chased hard can be pushed in ugly ways, so pair it with a guardrail number that must not get worse. If your North Star is messages sent, a guardrail might be the spam complaint rate. The guardrail stops you from winning the North Star by degrading the experience. It is the counterweight that keeps the one number honest. Chase the North Star, but only in ways that leave the guardrail intact, and you avoid the trap of optimizing yourself straight into a worse business. The gaming problem, any number you reward, people find ways to inflate, including you, often without meaning to. If your North Star is accounts created, you will drift toward tactics that create empty accounts nobody uses. This is why the North Star must tie to genuine value, because a value-based number is much harder to fake without actually delivering the value. When you notice the number rising while the business feels no healthier, that gap is the sound of the metric being gained, and it is your cue to look harder. How it changes as you grow. Your North Star is not fixed forever. Early on, it might be about getting people to that first aha moment, and later it might shift toward depth of usage or revenue per customer as the business matures. That is fine and expected. What matters is that you change it deliberately, with a reason, not by quietly drifting because a different number started looking better this quarter. Revisit it maybe once or twice a year, and change it on purpose when the stage of your business genuinely calls for a new focus. The small business version. If you run a simple shop or service rather than a software product, this still applies, just in plainer clothes. Your North Star might be repeat orders, or booked appointments kept, or active subscribers. The principle is identical. Find the one number that best means customers are getting real value and coming back, and steer by it. You do not need the startup vocabulary to use the idea. You need one honest number that goes up when your customers are genuinely well served. And a fair caution, because not everything needs this. If your business is tiny and you can hold the whole picture in your head, formalizing a North Star can be overkill. The idea earns its keep once you have enough going on that focus is genuinely scarce and decisions start competing for your limited time. Do not adopt the ceremony of it before you feel the problem it solves, which is too many numbers and not enough clarity about which one actually matters. What a North Star cannot do. The honest limit. A North Star metric is a focusing tool, not a strategy, and not a guarantee. It tells you whether you are moving in a direction you already decided was right. It does not choose the direction for you, and it cannot promise that direction leads anywhere good. A rising North Star with a flawed strategy just gets you to the wrong place faster. Use it to align your effort and keep your judgment about whether the destination is worth reaching switched firmly on. Anton, Nasnitis pen, King pen, Niemowsen pen. Bear it in a spreadsheet you open once a month. It cannot guide the small daily decisions it was meant to steer. Put it somewhere you look constantly, the top of your dashboard, a note on your desk, wherever your eyes land during the working day. The whole benefit is that it quietly shapes what you choose to work on, and it can only do that if it is in front of you when those choices are being made, not filed away in a report where you forget it exists. Do not just borrow someone else's. It is tempting to copy a famous company's North Star metric because it sounds impressive, but their number reflects their business, not yours. The action that predicts value and retention for a giant marketplace may mean nothing at all for your small service. Borrowing a metric you did not derive from your own customers hands you a goal that does not actually connect to your business getting healthier. Do the detective work on your own data instead. A homegrown, slightly unglamorous metric that truly predicts your retention beats a borrowed, shiny one that predicts nothing about you. Connect it to the daily work. The last step is translating the North Star into what you do on a Monday morning. A lofty number nobody knows how to influence. It's just decoration on a screen. For each week, ask which of your input levers you can actually move, and pick one concrete task that pushes it. The North Star sets the direction. The inputs are the steering, and a specific task is your hand turning the wheel. That chain, from one guiding number down to today's work, is what turns a metric on a dashboard into a business that genuinely moves the way you chose. Every one of these explainers lives in writing at dataresearchanalysiscollection.com. The whole library in plain English, with worked examples of picking a North Star from real customer behavior. I keep it honest there for the same reason I keep it honest here. Because a metric sold as a growth guarantee is a metric already lying to you. Find your own number from your own customers, pair it with a guardrail, and it becomes the quietest, most useful decision you make all year. So to recap, a North Star metric is the single number that best captures the real value your customers receive, chosen so it leads revenue rather than lagging it. Find it by spotting the action that separates the customers who stayed from the ones who left. Break it into a few input levers and protect it with a guardrail so you cannot win it by cheating. Change it deliberately as you grow and never let it multiply into a crowd. Next time, I want to break down customer acquisition cost and payback so you know how much you can actually afford to spend to grow. I will see you in the next one.